Black Ops 6 Zombies seems to be confirming or at least teasing some kind of TranZit remake later this year with Black Ops 7 at last, and with things we've never seen before. As you know, earlier this year, it leaked from focus groups that supposedly some sort of remake slash reimagining slash spiritual successor of TranZit was being focus tested for Black Ops 7 Zombies. Now, I know this was rumored as well for Liberty Falls for Black Ops 6, but honestly, I think it was going to be at some point in time, but that's been held back for Black Ops 7, and I'm going to run through the evidence why. While ideas that these focus tests aren't always what ends up in the final game, for something to have as much planning as this TranZit stuff did suggest that they had at least done some serious work on it, as in actual development as opposed to just concepts. Since then, other leakers and various sources around the community have alluded to or outright confirmed that they have also heard about some sort of TranZit sequel map. It has always caused contention in the community, with some people unwilling to believe this rumor, and of course everything changed when we received the very first Black Ops 7 Zombies teaser, which many people think really resembles TranZit. As you can see, there's some sort of vehicle with large headlights like the TranZit bus. We don't know if it is literally the TranZit bus, but you can see some windmills in the background. It does look like some sort of farmland, but I don't think it's going to be a straight up TranZit remake. I think we are still in Liberty Falls, but some kind of merger or hybrid with some elements from TranZit and potentially some other locales, all meshed up from the old multiverse that got thrown in and blended in the dark ether. And the reason being is that Black Ops 6 Zombies has pretty much ended all discussion on the matter with this new radio in Reckoning, and this is a radio from Panos that can be found in the boss arena. So I've just posted my full ending breakdown for the map, and I said in that I didn't know if the Shadowsmith slash the Warden are referenced at all, and we don't hear from Panos' mysterious contact. Well, at that time I hadn't heard about this new intel, so I'm going to play it as follows right now, and then I'll jump back and talk about it because this is literally teasing TranZit. Enjoy.
The voice spoke to me again, the great voice from beyond, my friend. It guided me through a dream state more lucid than any I have ever known. It was more than transcendental, it was transformative. I saw through the mist and fog. My gaze did not linger upon the foul wretches that wandered in search of prey. I looked upon the sprawling landscape beyond. Though this place was shrouded by darkness and tainted by trauma, I saw lights. I saw brightness. From the fields I glimpsed a farmhouse, a sunken town, rustic and ravaged by age. A cabin overlooking the inky black water of a lake, and a pyramid somehow floating in the distance. A single tower still stood tall. Though I was alone, I knew no fear as I walked across this unfamiliar realm. When I felt a yawning hunger deep in my belly, the voice guided me towards a place of nourishment. My eyes feasted upon its saturated colors, and my appetite was swiftly sated. My thirst was soon quenched. I knew for sure this was so much more than a mere dream when I read the sign. My friend confidently issued a solemn promise. This land that once was will be restored, as will I.
While this radio at first sounds vague and mysterious, if we break it down line by line, we can actually figure out quite a bit. Panos says, "The voice spoke to me again. The great voice from beyond, my friend." These lines immediately let us know that this is a continuation of the storyline on who Panos was talking to back in Liberty Falls that we learned more about on Shadow Vale with the Shadow Benefactor intel. This suggests, considering the character did not make any appearance in Black Ops 6's finale Reckoning like I and many others thought they would, that the mysterious character is being saved as setup for Black Ops 7. Panos also says, "I saw through the mist and fog." This is already starting the TranZit illusions. Fog and mist that is hard to see through is a telltale sign of iconic visual features of TranZit, whose thick fog separated the various locations, and of course we just had the fog rolling in Easter egg on a shattered veil, so it's clearly on their minds, and maybe could have even been a slight teaser for this. Then we get a handful of locations he sees within the fog: a rustic farmhouse, a sunken town, and a cabin. All of these are TranZit points of interest you can find in the farm, the town, and the cabin with the Bowie knife. He goes on to mention another place, less specifically named, but once you figure out what it is, it's the nail in the coffin for this being TranZit. He says, "When I felt a yawning hunger deep in my belly, the voice guided me towards a place of nourishment. My eyes feasted upon its saturated colours, and my appetite was swiftly sated. The thirst was soon quenched. I knew for sure this was so much more than a mere dream when I read the sign." Well, this at first sounds overly verbose. Let's break it down a bit. Panos said that he was hungry, the voice guided him to a place of nourishment, somewhere to eat. Then he ate and drank. Then he walked outside and saw that the place had bright, saturated colours, and then read the sign. So he went somewhere you could eat and drink, had bright, probably neon colours, some kind of sign. Sound familiar? It sounds exactly like Diner. It seems to me that we are looking at what is essentially a hard confirmation of a TranZit or some kind of TranZit remake as the launch map for Black Ops 7 Zombies, the map that's been rumoured to have a TranZit-esque transport system, which aligns with the fact that Ted is being granted as a Vol Edition bonus for Black Ops 7. And he looks way different now. He has the jet gun in his core that looks like the Pack-a-Punch core. He looks absolutely ridiculous. He kind of resembles Richtofen, actually, even the new Richtofen or Ultimus Richtofen. But this is clearly before he was damaged, the version that we then saw on Alpha Omega and TranZit. So I think this is more evidence that we are going to see some sort of TranZit variant, but I don't think it's just going to be the original map because it was hated on at the time. So I think they might take some locales but rework it into a large round-based sort of open world kind of experience. This brings us back to the radio though. Not only does Panos suggest towards TranZit points of interest, but also never before seen things that were not originally in TranZit. He says a cabin overlooking the inky blank water of a lake and a pyramid somehow floating. In the distance, a single tower stood still tall. The cabin from TranZit is now overlooking a large lake, and above that lake is some sort of floating pyramid. Could it potentially be the Moon Pyramid device, the MPD, or even maybe the APD from Alpha Omega, or some sort of similar construct sent into the dark ether, or something much larger, like literally the constructs from Vanguard Zombies, or maybe something entirely new? I'm not sure, but it really reminds me of the anti-grav room that we now have on Reckoning, or even the pyramid room on the Eisendrache, speaking of the MPD. And then Panos also says, in the distance, a single tower stands tall. That seems to line up with exactly what we first predicted when we saw that first Black Ops 7 Zombies teaser, that this was some sort of TranZit but mixed with Liberty Falls, and that large silhouette we saw in that clip was indeed the Janus Towers, despite how much many people said I was crazy for saying that at the time. You can clearly see in the background there's a silhouette of what many people think is a silo, but I do actually believe it's one of the cooling towers for Janus Towers, and this makes so much sense with what we've just seen in the ending cutscene for Reckoning, because the Terminus crew get teleported essentially inside of the Dark Ether's core itself. They get transported into the Sentinel artifact in some kind of pocket dimension. We know Black Ops 7 Zombies is within the heart of the Dark Ether, and they have then met the original characters here, and we can see they are in the spawn room of Reckoning. This to me suggests that this is going to be where the launch map is going to be taking place, but it's not just going to be the Janus Towers we know. It's probably going to feature many other elements from all of the points of interest we've seen on Liberty Falls, and maybe some new ones. Maybe we could just see one of the towers. It's sort of broken up and mixed in with some TranZit points of interest, as well as the different locales are sort of bleeding together. Maybe there could be, a slight section from the town, or a slight section from the mansion as well, or maybe even some of the tunnels or the bridges or the caves that we've not been able to access on the outskirts of the map. That could very well be possible. It could be like Revelations, where it's a bleeding of many different areas, such as that lake. Is that lake potentially from a map, a past Zombies map as well? Maybe it could be the Call of the Dead lake, maybe Shinonuma's swamp, or the boating docks on Shadows of Evil. I don't know, but this is really interesting, and this is our first teaser for the launch map. So it seems like this isn't as simple as just a one-to-one remake of TranZit, which, like I said earlier, frankly makes more sense considering how flawed its original design was. Why bring it back if they're not going to remake it with a twist? And I think even just doing the exact same map wouldn't really work. They've had to bleed it in with other maps and basically create an entirely new map with a similar concept of being able to travel around it. Whether we do on a bus or a different vehicle is yet to be determined or yet to be seen. Instead, this map seems to be using parts of Liberty Falls, parts of the actual TranZit, and perhaps even more to make up a new spiritual successor to TranZit for some sort of Outbreak ground-based hybrid, which probably was going to launch for Black Ops 6 Zombies but got cut due to Modern Warfare Zombies, and now we're seeing it in this game instead. And lastly, who is Panos actually talking to? We are left with the final line: "My friend confidently issued a solemn promise. This land that once was will be restored, as will I." This seems to me to also be a slight confirmation of what we had heard before, that the Warden enemy that leaks for Black Ops 7 plans to try and restore the multiverse back to the way it was using the essence of the original characters we see in the Reckoning ending. If that's the case, it also confirms some of our earlier speculation that this character Panos was talking to was the Warden, the hat-wearing individual that really resembles the Shadow Man that appears in the mirror to Ava Jansen, and is seemingly either working for the Shadow Smiths or a member of the Shadow Smiths. Whether it ends up being the Shadow Man, I don't know just yet, but obviously I've speculated about who Panos' mysterious contact could be for a while now, because they have many different criteria, such as we know they know of Richtofen but don't necessarily hate him, we know they've been to university, and since Shadowvale we know they are a he as well, and within the Shadow Benefactor intel, they said they have to burn for it with their body and soul. So is this some sort of new version of the Shadow Man back, who possibly went to university as Edward Kelly in his real life as a human before becoming the godlike entity? That could be possible. I've been speculating before it could be the new version of Richtofen that we see in the ending cutscene. However, this intel is outright telling us it's the Shadowsmiths and or the Warden, but we just need to find out why they meet all of the criteria, whether that ties back to Dr. Monty and the Shadowsmiths and the Shadow Man is yet to be determined, but Dr. Monty is referenced with his scarf that Samantha Maxis was wearing when she came out of Firebase Z on this map, so that's very interesting indeed. So yeah, we can put the other rumors to rest. I'm hoping we'll learn more about this map soon. There's plenty more videos to come talking about the original characters, more in depth, the true story of the assassination of Richtofen's family, the Forsaken and Samantha Maxis' deaths, and so much more. So stay tuned because there's so much story content and guides coming up on the channel. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye. To conclude this video, I want to shout out the fact that I finally decided to make a Patreon and Cameo account, both of which will be linked below if you want to help support the channel. On Patreon, you can sign up for the lowest tier of just $1.50 a month to get exclusive access for my Discord, where we can discuss zombies lore, trivia, or whatever you desire. A place where you lot, my community, can better connect. Your names will also appear at the end of videos thanking you. For $5.50 a month, you get all of that, and I will be doing exclusive monthly Q&As. And for $16.50 a month, you again get all of that, and I will be doing exclusive lore videos, such as unpacking niche parts of the Treyarch documents I've been breaking down on my channel that don't as much suit a main channel video. For the highest tier, only for those with the ability to and who really want to help out the channel, you get special bonuses I've yet to determine and verbal shoutouts at the end of every video. Over on Cameo, I can do funny videos reading lines from zombies, memes like "How do we tell him?", birthday wishes for friends or family, or whatever else you desire, practically anything. Of course, none of this is necessary, just watching and enjoying the videos helps me immensely and I greatly appreciate it. However, I think it's about time I start setting up additional revenue streams because Zombies' popularity is tumultuous and always goes through ups and downs. As I'm sure you've lately seen on the channel, viewership is down a lot, we go through big highs when new games release, but then during these drought periods, I need more income stability so I don't have to worry as much about it and I can focus more on improving the quality of the content. My highest quality videos are not always the ones that best please YouTube algorithms, so instead, this way I can produce my best work knowing I don't have to think as much about how well the content's going to perform. So if you'd like to support me on Patreon for exclusive content or would like a simple Cameo message, you can do so to further support me via the links below, but only if you can afford it and you actually want to help me. Don't feel like you are forced to, don't worry, I'll survive. It would just help relieve some of the pressure during inconsistent periods on the channel, so I don't have to solely rely on AdSense revenue, and still maintain the sheer quantity and quality of content that I put out. Obviously, I pump out literally a boatload of content, and some of these are absolutely crazy projects over hour-long videos, so it's a lot on my plate, especially when these videos don't perform particularly well. And I've not been doing many sponsorships lately to help supplement revenue either, so it would greatly help. Thank you for any generous person once again who does kindly support the channel. It means the absolute world and will really help keep this boat afloat.